Hey everybody, I'm Simmons. This is Philosophy for Where We Find Ourselves, June 28th, 2020. This morning I was out for a jog and I was listening to a recent talk by the Reverend William Barber. I'll link to it in the description below. It's 43 minutes of absolute, what I consider, prophetic wisdom. But what was really striking about this talk is the biblical passage that he read to begin it. It is simply from Amos 5 verses 10 through 24. And it was one of those passages that, even without any commentary, it spoke so directly to where we are as a country, where we are in particular as a people struggling through difficult times, and yet in a circumstance where so many are calling out for justice. And so today, it's a Sunday. I think I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm just going to read you this passage. I'm not going to give any commentary on it. Again, for that, William Barber does it way better than I can. But instead, I just want you to hear it. Let this challenge where you are. In particular, if you identify as a white Christian, and in particular a white conservative Christian, how do you reconcile your conception of American greatness, of American nationalism, of the insularity by which we tend to understand ourselves in economic terms? How do you reconcile that with the words of the prophet Amos? I know I can't, and that's why I've, in fact, over the last many years, been rethinking the Christianity with which I was raised in order to try to bring it more in line with the actual scriptural account of a God of justice. Listen to the words of Amos. People hate this kind of talk. Raw truth is never popular, but here it is, bluntly spoken. Because you run roughshod over the poor and take the bread out of their mouths, you're never going to move into the luxury homes you have built. You're never going to drink wine from the expensive vineyards you've planted. I know precisely the extent of your violations, the enormity of your sins, appalling. You bully right-living people, taking bribes right and left and kicking the poor when they're down. Justice is a lost cause. Evil is a pandemic. Decent people throw up their hands. Protest and rebuke are useless, a waste of breath. Seek good and not evil, and live. You talk about God, the God of angel armies, being your best friend. Well, live like it, and maybe it will happen. Hate evil and love good. Then work it out in the public square. Maybe God, the God of the angel armies, will notice your remnant and be gracious. Now again, my master's message, God, God of the angel armies, go out into the streets and lament loudly. Fill the malls and shops with cries of doom. Weep loudly, not me, not us, not now. Empty offices, stores, factories, workplaces, enlist everyone in the general lament. I want to hear it loud and clear when I make my visit, God's decree. Woe to all of you who want God's judgment day. Why would you want to see God, want God to come? When God comes, it will be bad news before it's good news. The worst of times, not the best of times. Here's what it's like. A man runs from a lion right into the jaws of a bear. A woman goes home after a hard day's work and is raped by a neighbor. At God's coming, we face hard reality, not fantasy. A black cloud with no silver lining. I can't stand your religious meetings. I'm fed up with your conferences and conventions. I want nothing to do with your religion projects, your pretentious slogans and goals. I'm sick of your fundraising schemes, your public relations and image making. I've had all I can take of your noisy ego music. When was the last time you sang to me? Do you know what I want? I want justice, oceans of it. I want fairness, rivers of it. That's what I want. That's all I want. What would it look like if, in fact, we started identifying ourselves, in particular in our religious communities, as wanting what it is that Amos says God wants? Justice to roll down like waters, righteousness and fairness like a raging stream. Are we life givers, or are we becoming, as William Barber asks, comfortable with death? I hope it is not the latter. May justice roll down like waters. I'll see you tomorrow, unless a piano falls on our heads.